Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of the instructional playthrough for Rifle Squad US at Omaha Beach. So very brief recap, I've set up the game in the first video and I played the first turn. We're doing okay, certainly on this side we're doing okay. We managed to clear this bunker at the top, you'll recall. We've managed to have this HMG retreat out of the bunker, so we'll see if we can take advantage of that. On this side, not so lucky. This LMG rallied and fired back, and it's caused a bit of chaos down here with Jones injured and pinned. Brig is pinned. Other than that, we're okay. We haven't revealed any German forces yet, so we've got to think about doing that. So priorities for this turn will be to try and advance up here a little, deal with this LMG, try and sort these guys out, and certainly to reveal at least one of these markers. Otherwise we're going to lose at the end of this turn, because at the start of turn 3 we can only have 7 of those showing, and we've got 8 on the board still. So that's what we're going to do. So remember, we're breaking it down to 4 impulses. There are still quite a few actions left we haven't seen yet, so please do keep watching for a full explanation of the game. So where to start this time? I think I'm going to start with Sergeant Jack. So remember, he gets 2 dice to determine how many orders he gets. He's rolled a 1 and a 4, not the best. That means he gets 4 orders. So I want to make some progress with some guys here. What I want to do then, remember, he can order anyone on his own hex or adjacent to him. So he's got quite a few options here. In fact, there's probably too many options for just him to do. It's tempting to have the bar fire. Rifle fire is no good from there. It can't reach this bunker because it's 4 hexes away and rifles are 0 to 3 range. The bar could reach this, so we could get some fire from the bar on there. I'm tempted to do that, although we have got Watts as well to go, so I might leave that for now. Also want to get Gill on the move, although he needs to get over here to help Jones if possible. Either that or we just leave Jones behind. It's always an option to do that with injured soldiers. It's just to leave them kind of safely back on the edge of the sea, sort of thing, on the beach or whatever. Out of fire, obviously. It's not necessary to have all soldiers healthy the whole mission. It's not always possible. But I can't move the medic over there because this hex is full. It's got 3 people in it. So leave that for now, I think. What we'll do then is we'll order Private Lee to move to here for 1 order. I'll just turn Sergeant Jack to show he's had his impulse. And then I think I will use 2 then to fire the bar, makes sense. So use 2 orders to fire the bar. So Dakin gets 4 dice, it's just the 4 dice, there's no combined fire here because Howe isn't firing because he can't reach the LMG. So let's fire the bar at the LMG. And we get 3 misses and a pin result. So could have been worse. At least I got the LMG pinned. Remember, there's no save for pins. Saves only apply to accurate shots, of which we had 0. So 1 more then for Sergeant Jack, and I think he'll actually order Corporal Watts forward for that final order. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, that's Jack. Then I'll do Corporal Watts himself. So let's see how many orders he can get. Remember, he gets 1d6. He rolls 6 again, like he did on the first turn, so he's doing well with orders. So Corporal Watts has 6. That's good, actually. So what I'm going to do then is order Private Lee forward. Remember, Lee can move again now because it's a new impulse. So he's going to order Private Lee forward to this hex here. Moving takes 1 order. Now, when a soldier enters a hex with a potential enemy marker, you have to immediately resolve that marker before anything else can happen. There's only one exception to that, and that is you can order a scout to scout it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So the scout order, the scout action, takes 3 orders. So Corporal Watts will now use 3 more orders, so 1 to move into there, then immediately uses 3 more. So you see, that's how it has to work. You have to move the scout in and then scout. So it's always going to require 4 orders to do that. You can't sort of wait a while and then come back and scout later, because this needs to be resolved immediately. So 3 orders used to have Lee scout this hex. Okay, so this is going to resolve the position, and we needed to do that because remember we can only have 7 left at the beginning of next turn. So we could have had a Hall. I mean, if Watts hadn't got enough orders, I'd have used, Hall would have done it over here. I still might do that as well, but let's just see how this one works. So there's a little series of steps to go through once you're resolving a potential enemy position. They don't appear on the hex itself. The German forces always appear relative to that hex. The first thing to do is to decide or determine what sort of enemy we're facing on this particular marker, and that's the chart over here. It has a little number 1. There's little numbers here to help you work through the steps. There are basically 6 steps, but one of them is just removing the marker, which I've already done. There are 5 other steps which are numbered 1 to 5 on the charts here at the top. So the first one is enemy, and we're going to use this chart here to determine what enemy or enemies appear. So we roll 2d6 always. We got a 9. We look at 9 here. It says A plus B. So then we consult the enemy type chart. We see that A is a rifleman with a grenade, so a standard rifleman. Get one of those out. And B is an SMG, so submachine gunner with grenades. So it's a standard submachine gunner. In he goes. Okay, so we've got 2 soldiers appearing. Not too many of the results do that, but this one does. Okay. So we've determined what they are. When you get more than 1, you just resolve them separately in the order stated in the chart. So it was A plus B, so we're going to do the rifleman, then we're going to do the submachine gunner. So number 2 is to determine the location of the rifleman. So we roll 2d6 again. This time we get an 8, and we consult this little hex grid over here, which changes each mission. You can quite see that, but basically it's got a little dark green hex at the bottom with a question mark in it. That refers to the hex where the question mark was, where the potential enemy marker was, and the other hexes then are all sort of relative to that, as that would map out on the grid, if you like, on the mission itself. So you can see number 8 is kind of 2 hexes, we might not be able to see, but number 8 is sort of 2 hexes forward, then 1 off to the right. So this rifle guy is going to appear here, look, 2 hexes forward and then 1 off to the right. So he's up there in the woods. So that's his location. It does say you re-roll if you cannot place for any reason. So if that was off map, if it was already full of soldiers, or it was an inland water hex, then you would simply re-roll until you found a viable location. The third step is to determine whether he's in cover or not. And we do for that a normal find cover test. For woods, you find cover on the roll of 3+. So is he in cover? You got a 3. Yes, he is. So we add a cover marker to his position. Now step 4 is whether he's hidden or not. And a German soldier will be hidden if he's out of line of sight of all US troops. Remember, line of sight only runs along straight lines of hexes, so we can see straight away that nobody in these end columns either side, the 2 columns either side, can see him because they're not on hexes. There's nobody down there. His line of sight to him runs up there, in there, down there. But fortunately for us, Private Gill, who's kind of still not out the sea, at the bottom here, has line of sight to the soldier. Okay, line of sight runs to the edge of the map unless blocked. It wouldn't have run through the woods, but it runs into the woods. So he can see that soldier, so he won't be hidden. And in any case, because we scouted him, he will never be hidden. So that's one of the key advantages of scouting. So we look at the scout action here, it says, new enemies will not hide or fire. So he would never be hidden in any case, even if he was out of line of sight. Because basically what happened is Lee's run up the beach here, dived on the ground, pulled out a pair of binoculars or something, or just had a really close look round, and he's actually spotted in the woods, that soldier. And he's seen him, he's like, oh, there he is, kind of thing. If Lee had just moved into this hex and we hadn't used a scout order, or somebody else had moved into one of these, into the hex, who can't do a scout action, because only scouts can do that, then we'd have to do that test. We'd have to see, is he in line of sight? If not, he may be hidden. And if so, we mark him as hidden and he cannot be shot at until he's been spotted. But he's not hidden. The fifth test is, or the fifth question is, will he fire at any US troops? Now, again, you check whether he's got line of sight to anybody, and he would have. He's got line of sight to Gill, and who is in range of his rifle. 1, 2, sorry, he's not. 1, 2, 3, he's not in range, so he wouldn't have actually fired. But again, he won't fire because he was scouted. So scouting is a really important action. You need to look after your scouts as best you can. If you start losing a scout, or if you lose a scout, the mission becomes very difficult if you've still got markers to resolve. So scouting prevents them hiding, prevents them firing, but he still appears, still finds cover. Remember, we got another one here as well. So this SMG, we're going to roll location dice for. Now, some of the German enemies have restrictions on the various locations they can appear in, but these two don't. It says all, so they can go into any location. He rolls a 6. That is basically the same as the 8, but it turns the other way at the top. So again, it's 2 hexes back and then 1 over to the left. So he appears in that clump of woods, which is quite nice because it shows that German soldiers can appear in hexes with other German soldiers. There's room in there, so he will. Can also appear in hexes with US troops in. If some troops have moved ahead of the marker, it's possible that German enemies, Germans can appear in the same hexes as US troops. So you've got to be a little bit careful of how quickly you advance past and around these markers. Again, we test for cover. He's in woods, so it's 3+, and he gets a 3. So we add cover. And remember, the cover goes to the hex. So this HMG, who's in the woods with him, automatically gets the benefit of that cover. In effect, the SMG guy, he's running, he's come into these woods from behind or whatever, and been spotted by Lee. He's grabbed some cover and he's like, called across the HMG, guys, over here, good cover here. He won't hide and he won't fire because, again, he's been scouted. And that's how you resolve at least a marker when it's scouted. Not the best result. We've got 2 more enemies on the board. That's going to cause potential problems for us. Okay, back to Watts then. He's got 2 more orders. So he is going to... I think he's going to just order Dakin to fire the bar again. Okay, last time it was Jack who ordered him to, so Watts can order Dakin to fire the bar. So straight 4 dice. We only had 2 orders. Remember, the bar takes 2 orders, so we can't order anyone else, and no one else can reach anyway with range. So 4 dice again on this LMG. It's pinned, so we're only interested now in 6 results. Hopefully we can get 1 or 2. We get 1, which means there is 1 accurate shot. He's on a 2+ save. Okay, being pinned doesn't affect that. He's in a bunker and he's got cover. Remember, the bunker takes 3 away from the 6, basic 6 save. The cover takes another 1, so 6 minus 4 is 2+. So hopefully he'll roll a 1. Oh, nearly. He rolled a 2, so he saved it. So then over on this side of the map, we need to think about what we're going to do here. I'm half tempted to try and get Hall to scout here, but I'm also conscious that we've now got quite a lot of enemies on the board already. On the other hand, I do like to get ahead and have a good look. Let's see what happens. Let's go with Sykes, and if you can get enough orders, we might just do it. Okay, he does get 6 again. Wow, we're still rolling well for orders. And I think I'll do it, actually. So again, we're going to push Hall up. That's 1, that's a standard move, remember. This would then automatically resolve, but immediately before that happens, we can scout for 3 orders. So we do that. So we resolve that potential enemy position. We roll for what enemy type it is. It's a 3, which unfortunately for us is a heavy machine gun. Oh dear. So it's a heavy machine gun. Then we roll for where it's going to go. There are some exceptions here. It cannot go to hex 2, 5 or 12, but anything else will do. It gets a 9, which is actually the one right at the top of this grid. So it's 3 hexes away. So 1, 2, 3, it appears in these woods at the top. Is it in cover? Sorry, not in the woods, in the trees at the top. For trees, you need a 4+ to find cover. He gets a 3, fortunately, so he's not in cover, although he is in the trees, so he still gets benefit of that. His save would be 5+. The basic 6 reduced by 1 for the trees. He's not going to be hidden, and he's not going to fire, fortunately, because we scouted him. So you can see the advantages. Now, if we hadn't scouted him, he wouldn't have hidden, because all of these guys here can see him, but he would have fired, and in fact he would have fired at Private Hall, who's bang in the open, so it's always risky not to scout. Two more orders for Corporal Sykes, and I think what he's going to do is what is he going to do? He's going to order Private Hall to fire, because he hasn't fired yet. He's going to fire his rifle at this HMG. It's only 1 die, but hopefully we can get a 5 or 6. Oh, we get a 6. Would you believe it? That's a cracking shot from Private Hall. So it's bang on target, and the HMG only has a 5+ save. 5+ save. Okay, so basic 6, remember, for the hex, -1 for the trees. So he's got a 5+ save. Oh, he's only made it. He's only made it. So that shot Hall took just pinged off a branch at the last minute or whatever. Sykes still has 1 order left, and he's going to... Ooh, what's he going to do? What is he going to do? He's going to... Is he? I know what he's going to do. He's going to bring Gill up. He's going to bring Gill, Private Gill, up into this hex for now. So Staff Sergeant Ray, we've really got to do something about that HMG here. So Staff Sergeant Ray gets the final impulse. Oh, he's terrible again, just like the first turn. That's awful. You can almost bank on Sergeant Ray getting at least 4, usually 5 or 6 orders, but he gets 3. Okay, that makes this a bit of a problem. So what he's going to have to do really is... I don't really want to lose the medic. Yeah, this is becoming a bit of an issue. It's 3 orders to rally, so we could rally Brigg or Jones. I don't really want to rally Jones because he's injured as well, so there's no point doing that really until he's here. We could rally Brigg, but that would then be the end of the turn. So, but we need to do more than that. So I think what he's going to do is order Private Lopez to move over for 1. And then for 2 orders, he's going to require those 2 to fire their rifles at the HMG. Okay, so that's 1 die each. I'd like to fire the grenade launcher, but it's too far away. The range is 1 and 2 hexes. They get 1 die each, but then because there's 2 of them firing from the same hex at the same time to the same target, they get 1 bonus die for combined fire. Remember, 1 die for the additional guy who's firing. So they get 3, so it's a fair chance. We desperately need 5s or 6s. Oh, wow. And we get nothing. We get nothing. Oops. So that's the end of my turn. Just straighten out all these guys. And yeah, they're certainly doable, these landing missions. They're not meant to be impossible, but they're still challenging. But what I have found in this game is quite often there's a feeling around the center, the middle of the mission, where you think, I'm never going to do this, but actually by the time you get to these later turns, you find that you managed to push through somehow. So we'll see how that plays out. Okay, so German's turn now, so we can have a better look at the AI chart this time. So we're going to start from the top. Remember, we want to do all engaged units first. Well, none of them are engaged, none are on the same tile as a US soldier. Then we want to do German officers. We haven't got any of those that are unpinned. We haven't got any of those. We want to do any German snipers that aren't pinned. We haven't got any of those. Then we want to do any other German units who are not pinned. Okay, well that's everybody except this LMG, isn't it? So we're going to start, remember, front to back, left to right. Start over here. When they're in the same hex, you can choose as a player which one to go first. Doesn't really make any difference, to be honest. I'll go with the HMG. So we're down here in this chart here, German other not pinned, and the HMG chart is just over here around the corner. Okay, so I'm going to roll one die. I get a 4. It says HMG fire. Okay, well, it can't fire because there is nothing along its line of sight. Its line of sight down here has no US units on it, nor does this one or this one, and its line of sight down here is blocked by this hill. Because remember, the woods are down on ground floor, ground level, and so is this side of the hill. This is a hill, so intervening hills. The bunker itself doesn't block line of sight, so like this bunker here that's not on a hill wouldn't block line of sight. The bunker is printed much larger, of course, than it would be in reality. You know, these hexes are, I guess, about 100 yards across or something, so it's pretty big stuff, 50 to 100 yards or whatever. So he has no one to fire at. So it says, if it has no target, find cover. Well, he's already in cover, thanks to the SMG appearing, so he's not going to do that either. So that's the end of his activation. The SMG itself then rolls on the same on the same chart, but actually a different section of it over here. So there's a bit here for rifles and SMGs. So let's roll that. He gets a 3. That says grenade launcher attack. Well, he hasn't got a grenade launcher, so he can't do that. And then it says, if it has no grenade launcher or no target for a grenade launcher, then fire the rifle or SMG. So he wants to fire his SMG. The range of an SMG, it tells you in this chart here, all the ranges and fire and dice numbers and so on, is 0 to 2. So it can only fire sort of here and here. It's blocked again by this bunker here and so on. So there's nobody to fire at. That's the end of his turn. There's no additional instruction for that. Let's go to this rifle guy here. I mean, fortunately, we're not in line of sight of any of these units except this one and potentially this one if it rallies. So let's do this one next, this rifle unit. Gets a 2. Same again, same section of the chart again. Again, it wants to fire its grenade launcher. It doesn't have a grenade launcher. It's got hand grenades, that's different. It hasn't got a grenade launcher. If not, it says fire the rifle. So again, he's looking for a target and he has no US units in any line of sight. So he stays where he is. Okay. Next up, this HMG in the trees here, which I can't believe he's still there uninjured after the shots we fired at him, but there we are, he is. Or unpinned, I should say. So he's back over on this chart. What do we get? Actually, good for us, he rolls a 1. Okay, so he had a 2/3 chance of firing, but actually for some reason he's not. So whether he might be reloading or too busy looking for cover or whatever, just setting up, create your own narrative. But for whatever reason he doesn't fire. But what he does is this. It says move to a bunker hex only, which has no US in it. Bunker hex only, which has no US in it. Okay. So he's looking for, remember, they can only move 1 hex, so it's got to be something adjacent. Is there a bunker hex adjacent to it? The answer is no, there isn't. Okay, there's only 3 bunkers there, there, and there. So he's actually going to stay where he is, but it does say whether it moved or not, find cover. So he is going to look for some cover. He gets a 3, which is not enough. He needs a 4+ in trees to find cover. So he's still not in cover. So that's good news for us. And then the final one, and there's this guy who's on this chart at the bottom, the pinned chart as normal that we've seen work in the previous turn. So let's roll that. He gets a 6. Unbelievable. So it's just what he got last time. So he rallies. Trust me when I say this, I mean, it's only a 6 that causes a pinned unit to fire, and he's had it twice. 1 in 36 chance. So, feeling unlucky. I am feeling unlucky. So he rallies and then fires. He fires at the nearest hex. Okay, so there's no test about whether people are injured or pinned or anything. He's going to fire, it says here, at the nearest hex, because he could fire at these. He can't see them because privately effectively blocks line of sight. Remember, you always fire at the nearest target along line of sight, except mortars. But he would fire at Lee, or he would fire at Brigham Jones. Brigham Jones are nearer, so he's going to fire at Brigham Jones. This could be pretty bad, really. It's 5 dice. Fortunately, it's a good roll for us. There are no hits. In fact, there are 4 misses. There are no ones, so he's not re-rolling anything. Just remember, he's on a hill, so he would have re-rolled ones. So they're all misses. And he's got a pin, but they're already both pinned. So that has no effect. So we're lucky there. Sixes could have ended up, you know, injuring Brig. More than 1-6 could, you know, if he got a couple of hits, then we'd have had to have killed. Jones would have been killed in action. Would have had no choice. Or Brig, one of them. Okay. That's the end of the German turn. We move to turn 3. There should only be 7 at most potential enemy locations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're fine. In fact, we're 1 ahead now of the track. So we've got a bit of breathing space. We could spend a turn just trying to deal with what's on the board rather than actually advancing. But we'll see how that goes. I'd still like to get someone in this bunker if possible. So maybe that we deal with that pretty soon. Okay, let's go one more time. Try and go a bit quicker through this next turn. So we're going to start over here again, I think. And I'm going to go with Watts this time. Okay, this time he only rolls 3. Remember, you've got 12 turns and there are 4 impulses in each turn. That's 48 rolls for orders you're doing. So, you know, yes, you can be lucky and unlucky with dice, but, you know, you can't really... It's hard to argue that over 48 impulse rolls, you know, you're going to balance out. You're almost certainly going to be averaging 3 to 4 orders per leader each time. You know, you'll get a run of 6s, you might get a run of 1s, which will be frustrating, but you know, it's going to balance out. So I think when you're rolling that many times for something, it's difficult to argue you've been unlucky. Watts has got 3 orders. So I think what I'm going to do is have him fire the bar yet again at this LMG, but you can see because he keeps rallying, it's slowing me down. It's slowing progress down to a bit of a frustrating pace. So for 2 orders, the bar will fire. Again, I can't reach him with anything else. I mean, I could move the bar here, but then I'd only have 2 orders left anyway to fire, so it doesn't... Should I do that anyway? Just for next time. Well, I might as well just do the fire first. So 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes. Remember, your own troops never block line of sight. 1, 2, 3, 4 dice for the bar on his own, so no combined fire. It's a pin. Got a pin, nothing else. So at least we've got him pinned again. If he rolls another 6, well, not sure what I can do about that. Got 1 more order, and I think I might be tempted just to move the bar into that hex there, so that if necessary next time they could potentially combine, for even this turn, they could potentially combine fire against that guy. Let's go with Jack next. Oh, terrible. Again, so he gets just 3 orders. 3 orders, but he's going to actually do that. He's going to order the bar to fire for 2 orders. That's 4 dice. He's going to order Lee to fire with it for 1 die. Because there's 2 of them, they get an extra die for combined fire. That's the extra order, ordering Lee to fire his rifle. So 6 dice on the LMG, and we can do that this time because the rifle is now within range, of course, 3 hexes. So let's hope for something a little bit better. We really want 6s here. We don't get anything. We get 2 pins, but it's already pinned, so there's no point doing that. Shame. So not little progress over here really that we wanted. But at least if we keep it pinned, we can maybe make progress this side. Let's go with Sykes first. Oh, wow. Just the 1 order. Just the 1 order. He is going to push Gill into that hex there. So orders Gill to move out to the flank along with Brig and Jones. Okay. And then Staff Sergeant Ray does get 6 orders, fortunately this time. 6, 6, 4, so he takes the 6. And he is going to order... There's one thing just to be aware of with this game. Remember, you can only order troops, soldiers who are on your hex or adjacent to your hex. So if Sergeant Ray ordered Hall to move into there, for example, he couldn't then order him to scout that hex because he is no longer adjacent to Ray. So that would just be a normal resolution without a scout action attached to it. Similarly, if he ordered, if that wasn't there and he ordered Lopez forward, he couldn't then order Lopez to fire or fire his, attack with his grenade launcher or anything, because he's again out of ordering distance. So you just got to keep, you've got to make sure your leaders your leaders do tend to be towards the, at least not right at the forefront always, maybe at the end when you're getting a bit desperate, but generally keep them back, but they do need to keep up with them. Anyway, Ray has 6 orders. I'm not going to scout this action. I'm going to use this 6 to tidy up over here a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 3 of those orders to rally Jones, okay, because he's adjacent to Sergeant Ray. So it's just a standard order. It says up here, rally 3 orders, remove pin. So we use 3 orders to remove Jones's pin, and then I'm going to use 2 orders to have Gil heal Jones. Okay, so the heal action here is a medic only, so only Gil can do that. And he heals 1 US on the same hex. So although Gil doesn't have to be on the same hex as Ray, because the standard ordering rules apply, so he's adjacent, he can order Gil. He's ordering Gil to take the action. The action that Gil takes is to heal, and he can heal somebody else who's injured who's on the same hex as himself. When you're injured, you can only do certain things. It clarifies here. When you're injured, you can only move or rally. So you can kind of, shuffle along, crawl back along the ground to safety or whatever, and you can rally. But it's not Jones that's doing that. Gil is healing him up. So if you probably see from that, if Gil gets injured, he cannot heal himself. So it's quite important that Gil doesn't get injured. Otherwise you can no longer use his medic ability until the next mission if you're playing a campaign. Sergeant Ray has 1 order left, and I think, I've totally forgotten about this HMG, haven't I? Oh dear, totally forgot about it. Shall I rewind a little? Yeah, let's rewind a little, because I think it was useful for me to show you that anyway. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the pinned bit. I'm just going to rewind the heal. So let me have my 2 actions back. So I've got 2 orders. So I've got my 3 orders left. What I'm actually going to do with those 3 orders is get these 2, well, 2 of them is to get these 2 to fire. Okay, so that's 3 dice because they get 1 each plus 1 for combined fire, and they're going to fire at the HMG. So let's do that. They get a pin this time, so at least we've pinned this problematic heavy machine gun in the trees. They got 1 more action, and I think we could get Gil to take a pot shot at this guy, but he'd need a 6. Seems a bit pointless. Let's get Hall and Lopez to find cover. It needs a 5+, they get a 6. So they have found a bit of useful cover on the beach there. That's the end of my turn. Let's do the Germans very quickly. We're going to go with, we've got nobody who's unpinned and engaged. We've no officers, no snipers. So all the others, we go next. We're going to go from the front. All the others aren't pinned. We're going to go with the HMG first. He gets a 3. He wants to fire, but nobody's in line of sight, so he'll find cover, but he's already in cover, so he won't. The SMG gets a 3, so again, he wants to do the same as he did last time, which is to try and fire a grenade launcher. He hasn't got that, so he'll fire his SMG, but he's nobody in line of sight or range, so he won't do that. This soldier here gets a 3, so the same again, wants to fire a grenade launcher, he hasn't got one, so he'll want to fire his rifle, but nobody in line of sight. Seems to be rolling the same number every time for these. So then we do the 2 pinned soldiers. This guy first gets a 1. That's not a bad result. He remains pinned. Nothing else happens, he remains pinned. It gives us a chance just to push up on him with a bit of luck. And the guy in the trees there, who is a pain, oh, wow, he gets a 6 again. Can't believe I've never rolled so many 6s for the pinned AI. So he gets a 6, so he's now going to fire. He's going to rally and fire, and unfortunately fires with 6 dice. The only people he can see are Hall and Lopez. So he's got 6 dice on them. I really don't need to see any hits. Few as just all misses, really. Okay, I've got 4 misses. 4 misses. Got a pin and a hit. We can try and save the hit. We're on a 5+ because we did find cover. And we missed that, unfortunately. So we're stuck with a hit and a pin. So one of them's going to be injured. And one of, well, they could, I don't know, we could do on both on one, I suppose. This is going bad, from bad to worse. Let's injure Lopez and pin Lopez, because I really need to keep Hull's scout ability free. I have to say, when I moved Lopez in there, I was a bit reluctant, but I guess I'm kind of glad I did. He can take the fire. Yeah. It's not going well, folks. It's not going well. We're going to move to turn 4, and I should only have 6 potential enemy markers on the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I must resolve one next turn, otherwise it's instant defeat. Wow, have I got a lot to think about next turn. I've got HMGs, LMGs, although he's pinned, fortunately. It's just, yeah, he's a nuisance. He's been a real nuisance. Right, I'll leave it there. Thanks, folks.